Hello, my loves. Continue to update new stories on Reddit, and don't forget if you like it, please subscribe and like it. Now let's start new stories. Story: I cut ties with a longtime friend of mine because I couldn't keep the friendship anymore after an incident between us. Here's why. I never expected to find love in a place I dreaded, but life has a way of surprising us. The homeschool group was a last resort for my parents, a desperate attempt to find a community where I could thrive with academic freedom and find peers with whom I could be social. However, my initial experience was anything but positive. The people there were awful and shallow. Despite their claims of being Christian and inclusive, their structure mirrored a cult more than anything resembling Christ and His love. They certainly put the weird into the homeschool stereotype. Twice a week, I dragged myself to the group, dreading the interactions with my peers who seemed to find joy in excluding and ridiculing me. I only found solace in leaving the school day early and engrossing myself in a book as a distraction to avoid the coldness of the others. Yet amidst this sea of unkindness, there was one boy who stood out. He was tall, with thick black hair and piercing eyes that seemed to see right through the facade I put up to protect myself. His presence was a beacon of kindness in an otherwise hostile environment. I first noticed him when our eyes met in the hallway. There was something disarming about his gaze. It was soft, curious, and unlike the judgmental stares I had grown accustomed to. At first, I tried to ignore him. The negative impressions the entirety of the group left on me were too strong to allow any positive feelings to surface. Moreover, he shared the same name as someone who had been awful to me for years, a bitter reminder of past pain. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't help but notice him. He seemed to be everywhere I turned, always looking at me with those gentle eyes. He wasn't in my class, but he often found reasons to come into my classroom, goofing off with his friends. His antics were playful, his laughter infectious, and yet, he always seemed to be watching me. I would catch him staring, a soft smile playing on his lips. Despite noticing him, I refused to acknowledge my feelings. I buried them deep, convinced that falling for someone in this group would only lead to more heartache and hurt. Weeks turned into months without a word exchanged between us in person, but fate had other plans. We connected over social media, and soon we were texting every day. Those messages became the highlight of my day. We talked about everything, from our favorite movies and books to our dreams and fears. It felt like I had found a kindred spirit in the unlikeliest of places. Our late-night phone calls became a ritual. We would talk for hours, sharing stories and secrets, laughing and sometimes crying. I felt a bond growing between us, a connection that was deep and genuine. Yet, I still rejected his advances, effectively friend-zoning him. I was scared to let my guard down, scared to admit what I was falling for him. But he was patient, kind, and lovingly persistent. As we got to know each other, we shared more about our lives, our likes and dislikes, and our long-term goals. Surprisingly, we had much in common. We would pray together and for each other, and he showed me love in the most genuine, kind way without expecting anything in return. I was hooked, even if I didn't want to admit it. Eventually, I couldn't deny my feelings any longer. I confessed my love for him, and to my relief and joy, he felt the same. We began to date, albeit minimally, as we were both very young with strict parents. Our relationship was innocent and pure, built on a foundation of mutual respect and shared faith. Never had I experienced love the way he loved me. He listened to me attentively, with such care and genuine interest in what I had to say. He encouraged and comforted me through all the family issues that burdened me and always guided me toward Christ. Despite our apparent immaturity, our love was genuine and deep, and we were committed to growing together in our faith. Every moment with him felt like a gift, a precious memory to be cherished. His love gave me strength and hope, a light in the midst of my struggles. Our happiness, however, was short-lived. One day, he told me that his family had decided to move across the country. The news hit me like a ton of bricks, leaving me devastated and heartbroken. Despite our young age, I truly felt he was the one I was always meant to be with. Our connection was not based on infatuation or lust, but on a shared desire for and rootedness in the Lord. As if this news wasn't enough, girls around us, fueled by hatred and jealousy, started nasty rumors and began harassing me even more than they had before. The drama escalated, adding to the stress and pain I was already feeling. The combination of his impending move and the relentless harassment and lies from others broke us. I became bitter and devastated, fearing that I might never see him again. The days leading up to his move were a blur of sorrow and longing. We spent as much time together as we could, which ended up only being once, trying to make the most of the moments we had left. He held me close, whispering promises of staying in touch, but deep down, we both knew that things would never be the same. Then, the day came when he left. Him and his family, whom I had only met once but instantly fell in love with, were gone forever. Never before had I experienced such physical pain from immense sorrow. I felt my heart tearing apart. I had heard of people dying from heartbreak, and I fully believed this would be my fate. Compounding my grief was the fact that my home life was horrible, filled with constant fear and tension. My parents' arguments echoed through the house, and I lived in a constant state of anxiety. The sanctuary I once found in my room now felt like a prison. The weight of my sorrow was overwhelming, and I couldn't escape the pain. I fell into a deep depression, barely eating and working out an unhealthy amount to keep myself out of the house and away from my family. Exercise became my escape, a way to numb the pain and avoid the constant reminder of what I had lost. My phone, once a lifeline to him, now felt like a cruel reminder of the amazing man who was no longer in my life. I avoided it as much as possible, unable to bear the sight of our old messages and photos. For a time, bitterness consumed me. I was angry at the world, at my circumstances, and at the people who had driven us apart. But his wise character always shone through any clouds that loomed. Even in his absence, his influence remained. He had set the standard for what a man should be, for how I wanted to be treated, and for the type and level of connection I desired in a relationship. Despite our separation, I found myself speaking about him to everyone close to me. My entire circle knew of the amazing boyfriend who had sadly moved away. They knew of my sorrow, his sweetness and wisdom, and how, even in his absence, I remained in awe of him. I recounted our story countless times, each retelling solidifying his place in my heart. Years went by, and I tried to move on. I dated other people, but no one compared to him. No one could ever compare to him. Each new relationship felt like a pale imitation of what we had shared. I found myself constantly measuring others against the impossible standard he had set, and they always fell short. I tried to convince myself that I was being unrealistic, that I needed to let go of the past, but my heart wouldn't listen. Eventually, I settled and tried to make peace with the fact that I would never experience such perfection again. I met someone else, someone who was kind and seemingly loving, and I tried to build a future with him. We planned our lives together, a home, a family, future children. I loved him, but never as fully or deeply as I had loved the boy who had moved away. The spark, the connection, the profound understanding that I had shared with him was missing. As the years passed, I continued to cherish the memories of my first love. I realized that he had taught me invaluable lessons about love, faith, and resilience. His presence in my life, however brief, had left an indelible mark on my heart. Even though we were separated by distance and time, his influence remained, guiding me and shaping my understanding of what true love should be. In the quiet moments of reflection, I often found myself wondering what could have been. I imagined a parallel life where we had stayed together, growing and evolving side by side. But life had taken us on different paths, and I had to accept that. Still, the love we shared remained a cherished memory, a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of genuine, heartfelt connection. Then, I began being bombarded, nearly daily, by videos of interviews with the elderly. They were asked about their regrets and what they wished could have been different in their own lives. Many of them spoke about the one that got away. This struck me profoundly. These were people who had lived long, full lives, yet their eyes still held a glimmer of sadness and longing when they spoke of a love they had lost or let slip through their fingers. Watching these videos became a sobering ritual for me. Each story resonated deeply, like echoes of my own unspoken fears. The elderly men and women spoke with such raw honesty, recounting their lives filled with achievements, family, and adventures, yet always circling back to the one person they couldn't forget. They spoke of fleeting moments, missed opportunities, and the relentless passage of time that eventually solidified their regrets. It was in those quiet moments, listening to their heartfelt confessions, that I saw the path laid out before me. I knew that my future would mirror that of the elderly men and women in the interviews. The one that got away. I envisioned myself many years down the line, having accomplished my life goals in career, motherhood, monetary, and travel pursuits. I would have a successful career, a loving family, financial stability, and a wealth of experiences from around the world. Yet, despite these achievements, I knew a shadow of sadness would linger. At the end of my life, I would still feel a pang of unaccomplished longing, a void that success and fulfillment in other areas of life couldn't fill. I would have spent a lifetime not fully knowing or experiencing being loved in the way I had with him. I would miss the feeling of being witnessed by another, sharing the depth of my soul with someone who truly understood and reciprocated. The simple joys of life, appreciating the little things, laughing at inside jokes, and finding comfort in shared silence, would feel incomplete without him by my side. I imagined the unspoken conversations, the mutual understanding, and the sense of belonging that comes from being with someone who truly gets you. It was more than just love, it was about a profound connection, a partnership where we could indulge in life's beauty together. The thought of never experiencing that again filled me with a sense of preemptive sorrow. Little did I know, the Lord had a plan. The Lord always had a plan. In my moments of despair and longing, when the future seemed bleak and my heart felt heavy with regret, I had forgotten that my life was being guided by a higher power. The Lord's plan was always at work, weaving threads of hope and redemption through my story, even when I couldn't see it. The realization that my journey wasn't over, and that love and fulfillment could still be part of my future, began to dawn on me. Little did I know that I needed the time and experience with someone else to grow. In the aftermath of our separation, I found myself navigating through other relationships, each one serving as a lesson in patience, kindness, and love. However, I wasn't always the best version of myself in those relationships. There were moments when I said and did things I later regretted, moments that required excessive apologies and sincere efforts to make amends. It took those years away from my true love for me to realize the depth of my shortcomings and the areas in which I needed to grow. Through the heartache and challenges of those relationships, I gradually matured, not only as a partner but also as an individual. I learned to be more patient, more kind, and more caring, qualities that were essential for nurturing healthy and fulfilling connections. But perhaps the most significant growth occurred in my spiritual journey. It took time away from him for me to truly rely on God, to surrender my fears and doubts, and to trust in his plan for my life. As I immersed myself in prayer and sought solace in my faith, I found strength and healing in his unwavering love. Yet, the path to spiritual and emotional growth was not without its obstacles. There were months and even years filled with heartache, sorrow, and betrayal, each one testing my resolve and challenging my faith. But through it all, I clung to the promise of redemption and restoration, believing that God's plan for me was greater than any setback or disappointment. Then, after 6 long, agonizing years, fate intervened once again. My love returned to the state in which I still lived. The mere thought of seeing him again filled me with excitement and hope, even if it meant that no romantic relationship would result from our reconnection. I prayed fervently, seeking God's guidance and surrendering to his will. In the 7th year of his absence, in the 7th year of waiting and longing, the Lord's will unfolded before me. It was as if the number 7, often associated with completion and perfection in biblical symbolism, held a profound significance in my journey. In that 7th year, my hopes and dreams, which had been held captive by time and circumstance, were finally realized. As I prepared to reunite with him, I couldn't help but marvel at the mysterious ways in which God works. His timing, though often beyond our understanding, is always perfect. In those moments of anticipation and uncertainty, I found solace in the knowledge that His plan for me was unfolding exactly as it should. With each passing day, my faith grew stronger, my heart more steadfast in its trust in Him. And when the long-awaited reunion finally came to pass, I knew without a doubt that it was the culmination of God's divine plan for our lives. In the 7th year of His absence, the 7th year of my journey, I found completion in His grace and mercy. I didn't need to be with this man again to find joy and fulfillment. The mere prospect of reconnecting with him, of having the opportunity to speak again after so many years apart, was enough to fill my heart with gratitude and happiness. I trusted that whatever the outcome, whether we rekindled our romance or simply remained friends, it would be according to God's perfect plan for our lives. As we reconnected and caught up on the years past and miraculous changes, we began to see the hand of divine intervention weaving through our lives. It was as if God had orchestrated every twist and turn, every moment of separation, to lead us back to each other. What a great and merciful God we serve! One of the first remarkable coincidences we noticed was how we had remained on each other's minds throughout the years apart. Despite only dating for a brief 5 months, he had occupied my thoughts for the entire 6 years we were apart. I found myself wondering about him, praying for him, and often pondering how he would respond to various situations life presented. And to my amazement, the feeling was mutual. He, too, had kept me close in his thoughts and had even considered me a standard for what he desired in a partner. Furthermore, the circumstances surrounding his unplanned and rapid move back paralleled my own reason for being single once again, safety concerns regarding the people we were living with. It was as if God had orchestrated our paths to align once more, removing the barriers that had kept us apart. Throughout the years of separation, there were also numerous uncanny occurrences that seemed to defy explanation. An influx of people with his exact name entering my life, so many that even my then-partner remarked on the frequency, knowing it reminded me of him. It was as though the universe was constantly reminding me of his presence, preparing me for our eventual reunion. The night before our long-awaited coffee meeting, I had a conversation with a friend about favorite scents. I described a particular scent that would occasionally waft by, a scent that inexplicably reminded me of home. Little did I know, my love and his roommate were having a similar discussion at the same time, discussing the importance of scent to women and how it often evokes feelings of comfort and familiarity. And when we finally met, as we embraced in a heartfelt goodbye, I unintentionally caught a whiff of his scent. It was the same scent I had described, his natural musk, the scent of home. After all those years, I had still remembered his scent. But perhaps the most inexplicable and profound connection we shared was the instant understanding we had of each other. It went beyond mere attraction or physical appearance, it was as if we could read each other's minds. Countless times, he would, and still does, look at me without saying a word, and I would know exactly what he was thinking. Our minds were in sync, our souls intertwined in a way that defied explanation. In those moments, it became clear that our reunion was not just a coincidence or stroke of luck. It was a testament to the power of divine intervention, guiding us back to each other and reaffirming that our love was meant to be. As we marveled at the intricacies of our journey, we knew that our connection was nothing short of miraculous, a beautiful testament to God's unwavering love and grace. As we reconnected and delved deeper into the tapestry of our shared history, we were met with a treasure trove of small yet profoundly meaningful coincidences that seemed to serve as the delicate threads binding our hearts together. One such enchanting coincidence was the fact that I had unwittingly set all my passcodes to be his phone number. It was a simple act done without much thought many years before, but it carried a weight of significance that resonated deeply within me. His digits became my digital touchstone, a constant reminder of his presence in my life, even as the tides of time ebbed and flowed. In return, he adorned his world with symbols of me, incorporating my favorite color into his artwork like strokes of love painted across a canvas. Each was a testament to the enduring bond we shared, a vibrant reminder of the beauty that blossomed from our connection. But the symphony of serendipity didn't end there. It seemed that the universe conspired to sprinkle our path with moments of enchantment, weaving its magic through the fabric of our lives. License plates bearing the insignia of the state to which he had journeyed appeared with astonishing frequency, like gentle whispers from afar beckoning me closer to him. My mother, attuned to the significance of these chance encounters, captured them in photographs, each image a snapshot of the enduring connection that transcended distance and time. As we embraced our reunion, we discovered even more delightful nuances that mirrored the depth of our connection. From sharing favorite flavors of candy to speaking the same love languages, every revelation served to deepen the bonds of affection that bound us together. Our souls danced in synchrony, moving in perfect harmony as if choreographed by the hand of fate itself. Even in the minutiae of everyday life, we found echoes of our shared history and a reaffirmation of the enduring love that had weathered the storms of separation. Simple habits, like folding pizza before indulging in its cheesy delight or meticulously balancing eggs in the carton, became cherished rituals imbued with layers of meaning that spoke volumes about the depths of our connection and similarities. In each of these small moments and subtle gestures, we found solace and joy, knowing that our love was not just a fleeting emotion but a timeless bond ordained by God on high. As we marveled at the beauty of our shared journey, we knew that every twist and turn had led us to this moment of sweet reunion, where our hearts beat as one in perfect harmony. In the gentle embrace of our reunion, as we basked in the warmth of each other's presence, the air seemed to hum with a sense of sweet anticipation. Every moment spent together felt like a precious gift, a chance to rediscover the depths of our connection and explore the mysteries of our intertwined destinies. Amidst the tapestry of remarkable coincidences that seemed to adorn our reunion, there was one revelation that shimmered with a brilliance all its own. It was the tender caress of his lips upon mine, the gentle brush of his fingertips against my skin, that stirred within me a longing I had never known before. For in the embrace of his kiss, I discovered a depth of passion and desire that had eluded me in the arms of others. It was as if every kiss was a symphony of emotions, each tender touch a testament to the profound connection that bound us together. In his arms, I found solace, comfort, and a sense of completeness that I had searched for in vain elsewhere. And as our lips met in a dance of longing and love, I knew with unwavering certainty that the tender touch of him was all I ever truly desired. With each passing day, our bond deepened, blossoming like a delicate flower in the light of newfound love. We embarked on the journey of rediscovery, peeling back the layers of time to reveal the tender shoots of affection that had taken root in our hearts. Every shared laugh, every stolen glance, became a testament to the enduring strength of our love, a love that had withstood the test of time and emerged even stronger on the other side. As we navigated the complexities of rekindled romance, we found solace in the knowledge that our love was not just a fleeting emotion but a steadfast anchor in the tumultuous sea of life. We leaned on each other for support, drawing strength from the deep well of affection that flowed between us. Together, we faced the challenges of the present and the uncertainties of the future with unwavering courage and boundless optimism. In the quiet moments of togetherness, as we held hands and watched the world go by, we marveled at the beauty of our shared journey. Every twist and turn, every obstacle overcome, had led us to this place of profound contentment and unbridled joy. And as we gazed into each other's eyes, we knew with certainty that our love was not just a chance encounter but a divine gift, bestowed upon us by a benevolent Creator who had woven our paths together with threads of destiny and purpose. As I reflect on our journey, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for the unexpected twist fate has brought. Our love story, once interrupted, has found its way back into the light. It's a testament to the resilience of love, the power of divine intervention, the beauty of second chances, and a demonstration of God's perfect timing. Our reunion isn't just a chance encounter, it's a reaffirmation of the bond we share, a bond that time and distance could never sever. It's a reminder that love, when nurtured, cherished, and rooted in Christ, has the capacity to transcend all obstacles and reunite kindred souls. As I look to the future with him by my side, I'm filled with hope and anticipation for the chapters yet to unfold. Together, we'll continue to write our love story, embracing each moment with gratitude and joy. And though our journey may have had its interruptions, I'm certain that the best is yet to come. Our forever seemingly interrupted, but never forgotten. Our love story continues, stronger and more vibrant than ever before. And as we embark on this next chapter together, I'm grateful for the twists and turns that have led us back into each other's arms. In the end, our love may have been interrupted, but it will never truly be lost. For true love, agape love, like faith, is eternal, transcending time and space to unite us in the bonds of everlasting love. And so, I will hold on to the memories of our time apart, cherishing each moment as a reminder of the strength of our connection. Together, we'll write the next chapter of our love story, embracing the future with open hearts and unwavering faith in Jesus. And as we journey forward hand in hand, I know that our love will endure, forever and always. Story: Choosing Independence. In the bustling city of New York, lived a young woman named Lily. At 28, Lily had a thriving career as a journalist, a beautiful apartment in Brooklyn, and a vibrant social life. Despite her achievements, she often found herself at the center of conversations about her single status. Lily's choice to remain single was a conscious one, rooted in her desire for independence and personal growth. Her friends and family were supportive, but curious. One evening, during a dinner party at her friend Emma's place, the topic inevitably came up. "Lily, you're so amazing. Why are you still single?" Emma asked, genuinely curious. Lily smiled, taking a moment to gather her thoughts. "I think it's because I value my independence and the freedom to pursue my passions without compromise. It's not that I'm against relationships, I just haven't found one that fits my life right now." Her friends nodded, some understanding and others still curious. Lily continued, sharing her journey of self-discovery and the reasons behind her choice. 1. Personal growth and career focus. Lily had always been driven by her career. From a young age, she knew she wanted to be a journalist, telling stories that mattered. Her dedication paid off, landing her a prestigious role at a top magazine. Being single allowed her the flexibility to travel for stories, work late nights, and fully immerse herself in her passion without worrying about neglecting a partner. 2. Financial independence. Growing up, Lily had seen her parents struggle financially and knew the importance of financial independence. Being single gave her control over her finances, allowing her to save, invest, and spend as she saw fit. She enjoyed the freedom of making her own financial decisions and planning for her future. 3. Exploring passions and hobbies. Lily had a wide range of interests, from painting to hiking to learning new languages. Being single gave her the time and space to explore these hobbies fully. She joined a local art class, spent weekends hiking upstate, and enrolled in a Spanish course. These activities brought her joy and a sense of fulfillment that she wasn't willing to compromise. 4. Social connections. Lily cherished her friendships deeply. She had a close-knit group of friends who were like family. Being single allowed her to nurture these relationships, spending quality time with friends, traveling together, and supporting each other's dreams. Her social life was rich and fulfilling, providing her with the emotional support and companionship she needed. 5. Redefining happiness and success. For Lily, happiness and success were not defined by a relationship status. She found joy in her accomplishments, her friendships, and her personal growth. She believed that being single allowed her to live authentically and pursue her true passions without external pressures. As Lily shared her story, her friends began to see her perspective. They realized that her choice to remain single was not out of necessity, but out of a desire to live a fulfilling and independent life. That night, as Lily walked back to her apartment, she felt a sense of contentment. She knew that her decision to remain single was right for her. She had built a life that she loved, filled with passion, adventure, and deep connections. In the end, Lily's story serves as a reminder that choosing a single life is a valid and fulfilling option for many young people today. It's a choice that allows for personal growth, independence, and the pursuit of one's dreams. For Lily, and many like her, singlehood is not a state of lack but a canvas for creating a rich and meaningful life. The story of first love. Just read a touching story about a person's first love and decided to tell mine. I left a comment in that thread but will expand it here. We were both 17 and in California. She dumped me after a year or so for a guy she worked with. I went on to college, but every now and then, she would find me through mutual friends when she got dumped. She always did the same things, called me all the time or wanted to hang out and, of course, wondered what it would be like if we got back together. I had no intentions of getting back together and would only hang out when I had nothing better to do, and only as a friend, preferably with other friends. She would always try to make it seem as if we were a couple, though. One night after an outing with friends, she didn't want to go home, as it was kind of far from where we were, and asked to stay at my place. This was an apartment I shared with another student, a great guy, but we had our own rooms and a living room with a comfortable couch that many friends had crashed on. When we got there, she went right to my room and started undressing. I excused myself to the bathroom and closed the door. I didn't go back to the room, I just slept on the couch. I really didn't need the emotional roller coaster that she was, distracting me from studying. I took her home the next morning, and she acted like everything was normal. After that, I didn't hear from her again. But that's how it always was. Eventually, she would disappear because she would get back together with whoever. After college, I got a good internship in Florida. That led to a great career and repayment of my college loans, a starter house, and a decent car. At 30, I met a nice, never married, no kids woman, not that there is anything wrong with that, who I have been happily married to for 23 years. I'm 53 now with 2 adult sons who have solid careers. Then, about 2 months ago, out of the blue, she called me at work and wanted to reconnect. I'm not sure how she found my info. I know there are ways, but I have done my best to leave a small footprint on the internet. Probably it's because my boss insists on posting our names and positions on our website. Anyway, I told her I wasn't interested and I was sorry. She tried to play it off like I didn't know who she was. I assured her I did know. There was a long pause, then I asked her to please not call me anymore. I heard her sob, and I hung up. Later, I got curious and asked a friend to look her up on Facebook. I don't have any social media other than where I can remain anonymous. To me, long-lost friends are long-lost for a reason. Anyway, it seems she recently divorced from the guy she dumped me for and lives about an hour or so away from me now. On her Facebook page, she had pics of herself and her adult son, and a few pics of her son's wedding with her ex on the other side of the room from her. I felt a little sorry that her life is a mess in her 50s, but these were her decisions that led her there. I'm not saying it would have been any better if we had gotten back together. I wouldn't change my life after 30 for anything. Yeah, I did a few things in my 20s I'm not proud of. Anyway, my wife would never accept reconnecting with my ex, and I would never do that to her. I did tell my wife about it, as I don't want any misunderstandings between us. Sometimes unsaid, seemingly trivial events can get taken out of context. My wife shows me her phone and asks if it was this person. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. The display of her phone shows my ex's name and number. My wife tells me the woman asked for me, but my wife told her it was the wrong number and hung up. My wife does not like me talking to women she doesn't know, and some she does. She thought the whole thing was funny in the end. Side note, I took that girl to my junior prom and still have the pic. My wife has seen it and could care less about it, but when she saw my senior prom pic, she attempted to rip it up. Sigh, because the girl in my senior prom pic was Asian, and my wife is also Asian. I just pretend to understand how that works. A story about my boyfriend. I don't know why, but I decided to share this story here. Lately, I haven't felt very loved by my boyfriend. He has a hard time showing love, but especially he hasn't done it in the past month or so. But this story is just a highlight in our relationship, helping me keep trying. My boyfriend's birthday is in May, and his cousin's birthday is the day before. They're one day apart and very close. He would constantly tell me stories about how his family and all relatives would have a blast on his cousin's birthday and always forget about his. How his cousin would always get more attention and more presents. He half-jokingly told me that he usually gets a book or a small thing for his birthday and that his family doesn't give him anything more. This made me feel really bad, but I thought maybe this year it will be different for him. He is such a nice boy, I couldn't imagine his family not being that nice to a literally perfect son. We call each other every day, and the night of his birthday we called too. It was about 11 p.m. We talked for quite a bit, and as it was 20 minutes before the clock strikes midnight on his birthday, he told me he'll go find something to eat in the kitchen and call me back soon. I was fine with that and waited. Once it was exactly 12 o'clock, I wrote him a big happy birthday paragraph of how grateful I am for him and just wishing him stuff and telling him I'll see him during the day. He read the message almost immediately but didn't reply for the next 10 minutes. I figured he was with his family congratulating him and stuff, so I just sat there patiently for him to answer and call back. Around 10 minutes later, he calls me. I hear his voice being happy, but he is also sobbing a bit. I was confused. When I asked what happened, he told me sorry for not answering immediately after reading my message. When he went out to the kitchen to eat, he got yelled at by his dad for no reason, just being a little too chirpy in the middle of the night. His dad then went to sleep, forgetting about his birthday. His dad is usually really strict to him. He abuses him mentally and sometimes even physically, but my boyfriend never goes into detail on that. He still loves his dad very much. He then told me that I am the only one who remembered. His entire family, parents and 2 siblings, forgot it was his birthday and simply went to bed. He was so heartbroken by that, but so extremely happy that I congratulated him. I had so many emotions flowing out of me, hearing him thank me but crying at the same time from the pain he's experiencing made me cry too. We talked and cried for several hours that night, me probably crying even harder than him. I never wanted to see my boy so hurt again. I started thinking about his gift weeks in advance, since the moment he told me about his previous gifts. I wanted to give him something special. Initially, he asked me to not get him anything at all, or a ruler at most, day before his birthday, and went shopping and made him a box of things. That box included his first ever wallet, matching couples bracelets, a deck of cards with reasons of why I love him written on every single one, some of his favorite candy, a custom t-shirt I made with my own hands and lips, a love letter and some roses inside. I believe in giving men flowers, although he's never given me any before and still hasn't. I just like doing it, he deserved it. I also included the ruler he asked for. The next day when I saw him and surprised him with the box, he hugged me and teared up a bit. He said it was the best gift he's ever received. I was so glad he liked it. We then went to dinner and later met up with his cousins. After that, the same day, he showed my quite personal present to his relatives and entire family. He said all of them were amazed, and I felt very flattered. I spent the whole day with him. I hope I made that day unforgettable for him and that nobody forgets his birthday ever again. Story: my boyfriend left me on the side of the road at 2 in the morning, 4 hours from my house. This story is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. I, 21 years old, was dating my now ex-boyfriend, 23 years old, for the last year. Let's call him James. James and I met at college and he graduated last year. I'm still in school. He recently moved up to the city I live near, which was exciting because he lived about 3.5 hours away previously. He moved for a new job he got after being fired from his previous one. Red flag, I know. We had plans to go to a concert in a city about 4 to 5 hours away. We decided to make a day of it and intended to sleep at his family's house, which was a 45 to 60-minute train ride from the venue and was where he had just moved from, so it was familiar. We parked at the train station instead of his family's house, assuming we'd be sober by the time we got back from the concert. I am not from this area and he is, so he took the lead on trains and transportation to and from the venue. He got us into the city only to realize he put us on the wrong train and we'd have to take multiple subway rides to get to where we wanted to go. I have chronic migraines and am prone to passing out, which he knows, so I had originally offered to figure out all the train situations to avoid subways because I knew I couldn't handle the environment. He assured me he had it. He did not. I passed out in the subway on a long, broken escalator he made me walk down instead of finding another, and a stranger caught me because he had walked too far ahead to notice what happened. He didn't even realize I had passed out, he thought I was just a bit overwhelmed. Finally, we got to the venue, almost 2 hours later than intended. I eventually took over train directions and got us there as he couldn't seem to get a handle on it. The concert was fun, except he got upset when I talked to anyone that wasn't him. The artist we saw is known for fostering a nice environment where people make friends and everyone gets along well. He didn't like the scene and he refers to not liking a scene whenever it's a queer space. This night was when I finally pieced that correlation together. As someone who's bisexual, it's definitely a problem and seeing him act that way so blatantly was really upsetting. It's okay if he doesn't want to befriend people, but he specifically didn't want to befriend people because they were queer. After the concert, I asked him if he'd figured out the trains for the way home as my phone was dead and I couldn't figure it out. He had not. We proceeded to walk the streets of this major city for 2 hours. He put us on 4 wrong trains and kept getting us farther and farther from where we needed to go. The entire time we were on the trains, he was texting his misogynistic brother about how I didn't spend enough time with him, what a bitch I am, and how I'm holding him back. I broke down at one point and was pretty upset with him because it was 1 a.m. at this point, the concert let out of 11, and we were nowhere near his house. I begged him to call an Uber, said I would pay for it, and when he wouldn't, I just sat down on the sidewalk and said I couldn't do the trains anymore. He finally got an Uber at the promise of me Venmoing him when my phone turned on. We got back to his family's house around 2 a.m. I had fallen asleep in the Uber ride back to his house for about 15 minutes and was much more sobered up by the time we got there as I wasn't very intoxicated to begin with. I have medication I absolutely have to take or I will be incapacitated the next day. It was left in my bag in his car that was at the train station because he had presumed we'd be taking the train back. I should have brought some with me, but it never crossed my mind that we wouldn't make it back to his car. I told him I'd just Uber there and go get it if I could use his keys to get in. He said no, took his dad's keys, and drove his car to the parking lot. Looking back, he was nowhere near sober and should not have been driving. When we pulled into the parking lot, he looked at me and decided this was the moment to tell me he didn't want to be together. He started crying and getting self-deprecating, telling me he's a terrible person and a liar. This isn't the first time he's done this. He usually acts like this when I'm upset with him to get out of the argument with no resolution. I originally tried to comfort him, and then he started yelling. I attempted to de-escalate the situation and told him it was fine if he didn't want to be together, but could we please talk at his house? He said I was no longer welcome at his house because he didn't want to deal with the discomfort, presumably of having me over after shit-talking me to his brothers. We went back and forth for a bit, and eventually, I just asked him what I was supposed to do. I just asked one final time, "Is this how you want this to end?" He said yes. He said he doesn't love me and he doesn't want me in his house with his dad and brothers. I just nodded, got my stuff out of his car, and left. It was pouring rain and my phone was dead. It was 2:30 in the morning and I was in the only sketchy part of his hometown. I went into the parking garage across the street because it was pouring rain. There were loud Dodge Chargers circling past me repeatedly. Multiple men came up to me in their cars and offered for me to get in their cars, and one man got out and attempted to coax me into his car, only backing away when I lied and said I was on the phone with the police. I eventually got my phone to turn on to 3% out of some luck and called my mom. She woke up the only family member nearby, who is elderly and lives 30 minutes away, and got me an Uber to their house. She called James, who had turned his phone off, and his father, who did not reply. My phone died in the Uber. Fortunately, the driver was kind and got me to the family member's house safely. The next morning, nothing from him to myself or my mom. His dad had texted me asking if I was okay. That was it. Our relationship had been rocky, but there was literally no circumstance that would validate this situation. I told my friends and our mutual friends the whole story, and they all immediately removed him from everything and cut him off. Being away from him, despite the circumstances, has been really awesome for me though. I get to put time into myself and I didn't realize how much I did for him. I found his apartment, car, and job for him because he said he didn't know how to. I introduced him to my friends and family and welcomed him into my world. He really just wanted me to be at his beck and call and there 100% for him. As soon as I told him I was doing things to take care of myself, he snapped because earlier the day of the concert, I told him about the gym I joined and the diet I was on to better my physical and mental health. I think that's it. Scary situation, but it went the best way it could've. He told one of our mutual friends he hoped one day we could get back together after he worked on himself. I'll pass on those delusions, though. Story: how can someone date a person who everyone else hates? In this scenario, a girl I know is dating a dude I used to be friends with. The girl is normal and the guy is the asshole/one everyone hates. First of all, I just want to explain my experience with him as a friend. We met at work. He was 23 and I was 21. When we first met, he didn't have many other friends at work or outside of it. But he seemed cool enough, so I started hanging out with him. We were friends for 2 years and he told me on multiple occasions that I was his best friend, and he was one of my best friends as well. We had a pretty normal friendship. Only thing I noticed was sometimes he would be pretty undermining. I would show him a band, or show I liked, and if he didn't like it he would really roast me. I figured it's okay, he's still stuck in that high school mindset of friendship where all you do is roast each other, since he hasn't had much experience with friendship as an adult. It never bothered me too much. One thing also happened that at the time I dismissed as maybe he was having a bad day, but now made me realize it was more than that. He asked me for help with something at work, and normally I would always help him. This time I was too busy with my own work, so I told him I couldn't. He basically ignored me for the next couple of days after that, before eventually coming up to me like nothing had happened. Anyways, fast forward 6 months ago, and all of a sudden out the blue he completely stopped talking to me. I asked him in person, by text, what was wrong, and he just ignored me. To this day, I and everyone else at work still don't know what caused this. I figured to myself, I guess it had to be something I did. No one would end a friendship over nothing, especially without telling the other person why. But over the course of the next few weeks, I started finding out things about him through other people that I always heard of but dismissed because he was my friend. I heard that I'm not the only person who was his friend that he would end up cutting out of his life for no reason. One dude he was friends with apparently couldn't give him a lift home, so after that day he never talked to him again. He used to play online games with a couple of people, but when they wouldn't let him play as a certain character that one day, he cut them off and never played or talked with them again. I heard stories of him talking shit behind others people's back. All these things and people coming together made me realize how crappy of a person he is, and it was a good thing that we aren't friends anymore. I was ready to just put this guy behind me and move on, but now he started dating one of my other friends. She's a newer girl at work. She is 21. I started talking to her and she was really sweet and hardworking. I don't have any romantic feeling towards her, I just see her as a friend. I actually tried setting up her and my other friend up because he said he was interested. She wasn't exactly open to it, so I dropped it. After finding out that she wasn't interested, he went back on what he said before saying stuff like, "I was never actually interested her, I was just joking, she's actually pretty ugly." He said more mean stuff and I told him that he was being an asshole, but because he was my friend I let it go and never told her. I regret that. I should have told her, I should have ended the friendship right there, but I often get blinded by friendship and let them say and do bad things. Basically simultaneously at the same time that he stopped talking to me, they started dating. She also stopped talking to me, probably because he made me look bad to her. And I just don't get what she sees in him. Myself and everyone see a big baby who only cares about himself and cuts people out of his life when he doesn't get what he wants. And what sucks the most is she is turning into him now. She is no longer sweet and caring to anyone. She has become a lazy, selfish worker just like he is. I know that she is a good person, because I knew how she was before she started dating him, and I know it's not just a random shift in personality. I know it has to do with him. And I just don't get, why become a person who is not nearly as liked as they used to be, for some dude who sucks? How can she not see what literally everyone else sees? They have been dating for 6 months now and it honestly makes me a little sick. I feel bad for her, because I just know that, eventually, maybe not for a while, but eventually she will go through the same thing with him that I and many others have. Story: how my 3-year relationship ended and how I acted. So my girlfriend, 42 years old, and I, 40 years old, met in 2020. We started as friends trying to improve our own lives. We met on social media through a company that sells life insurance and home/auto insurance. We really get along. We decided to meet and have a meeting at my house so I could begin the process of starting to work for the company. We had to watch a video and it was so boring. So we kissed throughout the video. One thing led to another and we collided after half an hour. We had fun and were like teenagers who met in a hotel and were bunnies. We went on a date and really had fun together. How wonderful. We talked a bit about moving in together and she was about to go on a business trip, so I offered to watch her house and take care of her cats. To her surprise, she agreed. She was away for a week, so that was great. She scheduled a veterinary exam and the vet said she was on vacation instead of working. I was angry because I would rather go with her if that were true. But that's not true. I called her and she told me she wasn't on vacation. I felt bad, so I sent her flowers and she loved them. She came home for the weekend and took me home. Over the next week, we went back and forth between our homes, and with her schedule, we got busier and busier, so we saw each other less but still talked and texted like crazy. One weekend she had to work the day I got home. She said I could stay the night, but I had to go home. We slept together that night and fell asleep in each other's arms. We woke up and I made breakfast for us both. She was working from home at the time, so we just did our own things. She worked and I cleaned. I guess she liked everything I did, so she invited me to move in that same night. I said yes. We are wonderful together. Over the next year, we were best friends and better lovers. One night we were having sex and during that moment I felt a little strange. My legs were a bit uncomfortable and tingling. With that came loss of sensation and I couldn't really get excited, if you know what I mean. I tried to finish like she did and I couldn't. We tried to have sex several times and sometimes we both got fortune cookies. I also started not feeling it as much there. During that time, I spent more time cuddling. Although I didn't tell her I was trying to make up for the lack of sex. Nothing worked and I felt less of a man every time we tried to have sex. It got to the point where I felt so bad, I stopped trying and started sleeping on the couch. She felt abandoned and I tried to explain my feelings. She said she understood and for a while she did. We gradually drifted apart but still lived together. At this time, my hips, back, and legs were getting worse. I lost my job and had to find another job. I lost those jobs too and started going to a deep dark place that I couldn't escape from. I started therapy and medication. Those medications did not help the physical aspect I was experiencing. It was even worse when I almost forgot that I had a downstairs. I got so bad that I lost the feeling of a full bladder. Back to the end of 2023, when we were both arguing and not meeting each other's needs. Now, a few weeks ago, she decided to break up with me. She said she wanted us to remain friends. I'm okay with that. Not even 24 hours later, she had a boyfriend and was sleeping with him. I'm so hurt. I became really dark and deep. I'm angry, I'm still in love, I'm losing my life. I'm losing my house. I do not know what to do. I don't know where to go. I have never been without a home and here I lost everything. She and I are like oil and water, cats and dogs, care YPS and bloods. I found solace at the bottom of a bottle of Jameson. I have no one to talk to but her. She has her friends. My mind is broken and my heart is broken. I have never been so crazy. I actually started talking to myself and answered, no lying. Today, I'm at my dad's one-bedroom apartment. Sleeping on couches and living in boxes. I thank God that I have a roof over my head, but I had to leave my life behind. I had other health problems before the new neurological problems. I'm still angry and still in love. I do not know what to do now. I applied for disability benefits and had to meet with a judge about the matter. Other than that, I don't know what else to do. Bye and see you again in the next videos and stories.